Now, calls mount for action to be taken following the release of the fourth part of the State Capture Commission's report by the Presidency. The report focuses on National Treasury and Eskom. In it, Chief Justice Raymond Zondo has recommended that the National Prosecuting Authority consider pursuing charges against Tony Gupta for allegedly attempting to bribe former Deputy Finance Minister Mcebisi Jonas. To unpack this further, I'm now joined by Reputation Management Advisor Solly Moeng. A very good evening to you. Thank you so much for your time. South Africans have reacted on social media to Part 4 of the State Capture Report, asking whether it was an expose or just factionalism at play. What are your thoughts?
Well, South Africans are correct to ask all those questions. It's been too long. A lot of public money has been spent in the commission. And Deputy Justice, and now he's Chief Justice, of course, at the time when he was heading the commission, well, he's still heading the commission, he did say, look, we're going to make information available to the NPA that can be used to start prosecutions. But we haven't seen anything. I really think that Advocate Batohi owes South Africans a better explanation than giving excuses about things taking too long, resources and this and that. We expect her to act.
Within this report, the President Jacob Zuma, former President Jacob Zuma, according to Chief Justice Raymond Zondo, saying that he readily opened the doors for the Guptas to go into state-owned entities and help themselves to money and assets of the people of South Africa. And when we saw President Cyril Ramaphosa giving his version of events and wrapping up in August, there was also a lot of criticism around his response, saying that it lacked a solid explanation. In fact, before I spoke to you, I spoke to the UDM's Bantu Holomisa, who said that expectations are high on his end as to what Part 5 will give, because questions that President Cyril Ramaphosa needed to answer have still not been answered.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, the President Cyril Ramaphosa, unfortunately, has made it clear for over and over again that he puts the ANC ahead of South Africa. He said it. There were recorded leaked recordings of him saying so, leaked recording of him protecting the ANC from the possible exposure that he's been abusing South African money. He has not really. He was deputy president to Zuma all the time. There's no doubt that he's heard some things, he's seen some things, but we know that Ramaphosa would rather protect the ANC, and he said it so himself. So it's a big problem that he hasn't come through. But the Zondo Commission, hopefully, they have sufficient information to start charging people like Zuma. They should charge Zuma. They shouldn't be afraid of people potentially jumping up and down all over the place. The security forces should be ready. The army should be ready if it has to be ready. But we cannot have a situation where Zuma, his son Duduzane Zuma, the Guptas, all those people linked and mentioned in state capture continue to think that they are above the law, they cannot be charged. It's not acceptable. The president needs to get to a point where he says, let's put South Africa first, but the NPA also needs to act. Ramaphosa is not going to lay charges against people. He's not going to prosecute people. The NPA needs to do something. I don't think that now Chief Justice Zondo didn't know what he was talking about when he said, we have information that can be used by the NPA to do its work. It's still not doing its work. We don't know why.
You mentioned the NPA. The SIU has said that it's ready to act following the recommendations of the fourth state capture report. But, of course, there are still questions around its muscle and whether or not it will go for those high-profile leaders.
Well, they have to go up. The thing is, and Holomisa is absolutely correct, South Africans want one thing. By and large, South Africans want to know that there is nobody, not a single person, including Zuma, who stands above the law. As long as they can do all the intimidation they want, but we have to see a point where, and it's good for the image of South Africa. South Africa's image has been tattered, it's been damaged all over the world, even where I am right now. People don't believe in us anymore. But the minute we charge these people, we're going to stand up again and say, we are not just one of those countries where people do the kind of things that they have done and get away with them. And Duduzane Zuma keeps coming in and out of the country. The NPA says we're going to go after the Guptas. But Duduzane Zuma was an integral party to all the Gupta companies that have stolen so much money from us. If they want to go after the Guptas, they must also go after Duduzane. You know, this man is running around around saying he's going to be the next president of the African National Congress. Why can't Batohi go after Duduzane Somali? You can't just say, I want the Guptas first and I'll go after Duduzane. If she really wants to go after the Guptas and everything that they represent, they should go after Duduzane, and they're not doing so. Is the NPA, is the criminal justice system in South Africa afraid of the Zumas? That's a question we should be asking ourselves. Yeah. And South Africans don't want to hear yes, because that's not good for South Africa at home and abroad.
And you speak about the image of South Africa and its perceptions. What do you now believe are the perceptions of South Africans about the current crop of leadership?
Well, look, people have been saying South Africa has been normalized, and we know what has been normalized in the sphere of Africa, and that's hurtful because we know that Africa has not really shined in terms of justice, democracy, free human rights, and proper governance, whether it's in the private sector or in the public sector. South Africa was seen as a country that was going to be the shining light, that was going to show the world that black people, and I have to say this, black people can take over a modern democracy and make it successful. So far, black people have taken a modern democracy in South Africa and they've messed it up big time. All right, so we need to arrest people to show them at least that we do have system, we have a level of predictability in our legal justice legal system. If we do not do that, then we're going to be basically dismissed forever, and the recovery is going to be even harder. People want to do business with South Africa. South Africans in the vast diaspora want to support South Africa, but they cannot stand up proud of South Africa when South Africa does the thing, allows the kind of things that have been allowed in South Africa. So the governing party, or I call it the misgoverning party in South Africa, has hurt South Africa. The NPA must save South Africa. But all he should do to South Africa or to the people who appointed her what Advocate Madansela did at the time. She was appointed by Zuma, but she stood up and said, wait a minute, South Africa comes first. But all he should do the same thing. So far she's failed us. Each time she speaks, it's like another politician speaking with more and more excuses. She has to act or she must leave. Somebody else must come and do the job.
And another aspect that was raised in the fourth installment of the State Capture Commission of Inquiry is former President Jacob Zuma's role in the alleged direct involvement in Eskom's affairs in a really well-detailed strategy to capture the state-owned power utility. But as we look at what happened then and what's happening now, South Africans are infuriated by the ANC-led government's role and mismanagement of that crisis.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, Zuma was the head man, the head honcho in everything that happened over the state capture when he was the president of South Africa. But he was not alone. He was defended by the ANC. The ANC had about... Can you hear me?
Yes. Okay,
the ANC had almost 10 opportunities to support the vote of no confidence in Jacob Zuma. They did not. They did not do that. Gwete Mantashe, when some banks shut down the Gupta bank accounts, Gwete Mantashe, as chairman of the ANC at the time, or secretary general of the ANC at the time, he was one of the people who went to back the banks to open the Gupta accounts. But we knew that stolen money, illicitly obtained money was running through the Gupta accounts. The banks were trying to do the same thing. So the ANC is not innocent. The ANC has enabled the damaging of South Africa's name, the damaging of South Africa's systems, the damaging of South Africa's institutions, democratic institutions. So it's not innocent. It has, actually the ANC owes South Africa an apology, a sincere apology. And that still needs to happen. I'm not sure it's going to happen under Ramaphosa. And I mean a sincere apology, not the one that's done with one eye looking at the next elections, whether it's the internal ANC elections or future South African elections. They owe us a lot.
And what are the challenges that remain as you perceive Brand South Africa, as you speak of Brand South Africa, pointing to the state of the economy, pointing to perceptions and the leadership of South Africa, especially with elections being around the corner?
Can you call the question again?
Yes, just looking at Brand South Africa, how it's perceived outside of the country, and also factoring in the challenges within South Africa at the moment, the state of the economy, the role of corruption. What are your thoughts around that?
Yeah, we remember, you might remember about 2 years ago when Team South Africa went to Davos, to the World Economic Forum. Richard Quest from CNA gave them the truth, CNN. He said to them, what are you guys doing here? You have no story to tell. You have no policies to speak of. Why are you here to say to people, come and invest in South Africa? And of course, those questions still remain. They still remain valid. South Africa cannot fool the world. They cannot. Maybe they can fool some people some of the time. They cannot fool all of the world all of the time. And the thing is, now in this post-COVID era, investors are spoiled for choice. Nobody has to come to South Africa. They can go anywhere else in the world. Now, these people who go to Ramaphosa's investment forums, many of them don't come up with new investments. They come there with already plans that they already had to put into their existing operations. How many new jobs have been created since Ramaphosa came on board and announced all these hundreds of billions of rands that have been invested? If so much investment is happening that Ramaphosa boasts about, why are we not seeing jobs being created around those new projects? The truth is, investors, of course, have to be mindful that they don't offend the government in place, because some of them are doing business with government. Business has to be really, really careful. We need people like Busisiwe Mabuzo,
yes.
Leadership Business Leadership South Africa, to stand up and speak on behalf of business. A lot of the things that business people say in private that they are afraid to say in the face of government or in front of the media, people like her and many more are needed to say, you can't fool all of the people all of the time. You need to reform. We need clear political policies. We need clear economic policies. But we also need to see that there are consequences for criminal activity, irrespective of what rank the person holds. So far, we see small guys being arrested for all sorts of things. I mean, even if you look at the raptures that happened in KwaZulu-Natal last year, those riots, and in Johannesburg, we have seen a list of people who instigated those things to happen, because some of them are so close to Zuma, including Zuma's daughter, the twin sister to Duzani. They have not been arrested. So these people who are close to something is wrong in South Africa. The criminal justice system fears Zuma. It's not good. It's almost like we live in one of those Southern American countries where the criminal bosses, the drug lords control what happens in the country. South Africa needs to stand up. The institutions of democracy, the legal fraternity, the criminal justice system has to be able to stand up and say, this far, no further, irrespective of who you are. If they continue showing fear for Zuma, his son, and his daughter, and all those people who've been Brian Molefe, Malusi Gigama, Nomvula Mukonya, all those people, they must go to jail. They must be arrested. They must be tried. If they are people, they must go to jail. Until that happens, we're in trouble globally and at home.
Thank you so much for weighing in on that. Reputation Management Advisor Solly Moeng speaking to the reaction following the release of the 4th installment of the State Capture Commission of Inquiry. Thank you for your time.